Today, we're going to dive into the story of a prophet who asked the questions we're all sometimes afraid to ask. This isn't just some dusty old story. It's a journey for anyone who's ever looked up at the sky and just wondered, what is God doing? So, let's get into it. It's one of the toughest parts of faith, isn't it? You pour your heart out, you ask this huge, painful why, and all you get back is, well, nothing, just crickets. It can feel so lonely, like you're the only one who's ever felt that way. But here's the good news. You are so not alone in that feeling. This struggle isn't some sign that your faith is weak. Nope. It's actually a path that many have walked before. Even the prophets, the guys who were supposed to have the direct line to God, they struggled with this too. And one of them, a man named Habakkuk, actually gives us an amazing roadmap for how to get through it. All right, so let's meet this guy, Habakkuk. He's a prophet in Judah, and he's got a big problem. He looks around at his own people, at God's chosen nation, and what he sees is a complete and utter mess. We're talking violence, injustice, corruption, you name it. And it's tearing him up inside because it feels like God is just letting it all happen. You can just feel the raw emotion in his words, can't you? This is not some polite, churchy prayer. This is a gut-wrenching cry. Habakkuk is basically shouting into the void. Hello? Are you there? I've been calling and calling, and it feels like I'm being ignored. And this right here, this is the heart of his struggle. He's asking, God, you're supposed to be holy and perfect and just. So how can you stand by and watch all this terrible stuff happen? Why do you tolerate it? For Habakkuk, this wasn't just a philosophical question. It was a crisis of faith. And then, God answers. But let me tell you, the answer he gets is the last thing he was expecting. It's not comforting, it's not reassuring. In fact, it seems to make everything 1,000 times worse. It's shocking. So check this out. From a human perspective, this is completely bonkers. Habakkuk is complaining about all the sin inside his own country, Judah, and God's solution is, oh, you think that's bad? Hold on, I'm going to send the Babylonians, a nation that is way more ruthless and violent, to come and punish you. It's like complaining your faucet's dripping and being told the solution is a tidal wave. This answer doesn't fix Habakkuk's confusion, it sends him into a total tailspin. Okay, so at this point, Habakkuk could just throw in the towel. He could say, forget this. I don't understand this God anymore, and just walk away. But he doesn't. And what he does next, well, it changes everything. He decides to climb up, wait, and listen for a bigger perspective. And I love his response here. He says he's going to go to his watchtower. This isn't just him sitting around and sulking. No, this is an active, intentional choice. He's literally positioning himself to try and see things from God's point of view. He's saying, okay, God, I don't get it, not even a little bit, but I'm not leaving. I'm going to stand right here and wait for you to show me the bigger picture. And up there, in that watchtower, Habakkuk gets a glimpse of this huge concept, divine sovereignty. He starts to realize that God is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. God is in complete control of history, of all nations, even the wicked ones like Babylon. He sees that God can actually use a brutal, evil empire to accomplish his purposes. And then, in his own time, he'll hold that same empire accountable for its own evil. The plan is way bigger and way more just than Habakkuk could ever see from the ground. This view from the watchtower completely flips the script for Habakkuk. He goes from being full of agonizing questions to being filled with awe and trust. The whole story, which started with a bunch of painful why questions, now pivots to a powerful, confident therefore. And this is the key takeaway right here. This transition is everything. Habakkuk moves away from what you might call a because faith. I trust God because I got the promotion, or I trust God because my family is healthy. That kind of faith is super fragile. Instead, he discovers something way more powerful, an although faith. This is a faith that says, I will trust God although my world is falling apart. It's a faith that's anchored in who God is, not in what's happening to us. And this is his grand finale. Seriously, it's one of the most incredible statements of faith you'll ever read. He paints a picture of complete and total devastation. The crops have failed, the economy has collapsed, there's nothing to eat. Everything is gone. And in the middle of that absolute wreckage, he makes a choice. He says, my joy isn't going to come from my fig tree. My joy is going to come from God himself. That is an although faith. So why are we talking about this today? Because Every single one of us has our own why questions. We all face things that make zero sense. And Habakkuk's journey from the bottom of a pit of despair all the way up to that watchtower of perspective is an amazing guide for us right now.
So how do we build our own watchtower? Well, it pretty much comes down to these three things. First, be honest. Bring your real, raw, messy questions to God. He can handle it. Second, you have to be willing to wait and listen. Intentionally look for God's bigger story, beyond your immediate crisis. And third, make the choice, every single day, to anchor your joy in who God is, not in your circumstances. You have to choose an although faith.
So, I'll just leave you with this thought to chew on. Whatever it is you're facing this week, what would it actually look like to say, although this is happening, yet I will rejoice? What piece of your anxiety or your fear might just start to melt away if you did that? That's the powerful, life-changing invitation from the prophet Habakkuk.